Hello everyone, welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan. Thank you for coming to my channel. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you for letting me be a part of your community. I so very much enjoy the added element of what this platform, YouTube, and others like it, have done for the fish keeping community. I've got so many grievances with social media, how it's affected me, my children, just people, life, socializing, all of that, the usual complaints. But one thing I do love about it is the ability for the common person, hobbyist, in whatever that passion might be, to find an outlet like this one, like Lush and Salty Aquariums, and the millions of others out there where craftsmen, poets, woodworkers, fishermen, hunters, nature lovers, on and on, have found new breadth and depth in their hobbies and in their lives because of the advent of social media and platforms like YouTube. So this isn't going to be a litany one way or the other about how those platforms positively and negatively affect our hobby. But moreover, I just wanted to talk to you about something that's been going on in my life, a good thing, but it has created more change to my ability to engage both with you all and with my fish tanks. And that is, I decided around Thanksgiving time, so if you're watching this later than present, you know, it's been 2 months since I started doing the thing I'm going to tell you about. Forever and a day, as both my vocation, my job, the way I made a living, as well as my avocation, in other words, my hobby and passion, I have defined myself as right or wrong, defined myself rightly or wrongly as a writer. I made a living doing that and still do, but to a much lesser extent. I've made a living writing advertising, and it's easy to find records of that online. I had a pretty amazing career, but what I mean by that is a combination of talent, I'll give myself that, but really it comes down to who you know and luck. So a combination of talent, luck, and who you know. Those are the three variables that can make or break a career. And I was fortunate to have worked with many great people, not all of them great. And again, I wasn't always great either, but I had a pretty terrific career in advertising and made a lot of campaigns, had commercials on the Super Bowl, and contributed to popular culture or junk culture in a way that only advertising can. But I also was a writer in the more genuine sense of the word, in the pure sense of the word. My biggest goal on my bucket list has always been to be a published author, and I pursued it with vengeance. I wrote short stories through college into my young adult years. I even had a few published. I won some prizes with that work. And then about 20 years ago, I started my first novel. And actually, it was my second novel. The first one didn't count. That was more like the memoirs of a stoned and insane 20-something bouncing around the city of Chicago. But I took it much more seriously after college, and I wrote a few books. I struggled. I got an agent for one. I secured a Hollywood deal for another, got paid 10 grand from Touchstone TV, which I believe is a part of Walt Disney, but that was a long time ago. And you know, those books, I had to, what they call subsidy or partner publish them, or if we're being honest, I self-published them because I just could not get a legitimate book deal. And I put them out into the culture. The first one was this here, The Last Generation, a science fiction novel, and then sort of a fantasy, speculative fiction, The Happy Soul Industry. And I thought, you know, they were very high concept. I think the writing was competent. As I look back at those texts, I'm not impressed by myself, and there's so many times if I look at any given paragraph that I wish I could change it, but I can't. And it's funny because in this hobby, you know, we look at something in our fish tank and we wrestle with that same conundrum, but in fact we can change it. The very theme line, because I'm a former ad guy, I got to have a theme line for this channel was, you know, I've always got my hands in the tank. And so yeah, we could change, edit, affect in real time any given fish tank, mostly with good outcomes. And sometimes we make mistakes, and it's all part of the process, and it's what I love about like the YouTube FishTube community. We talk about that stuff. But these two books, they came and went. I think they're still on Amazon. I'm not trying to pimp my novels here. Trust me, that's not what this is about. As a matter of fact, I don't think they're worth your time, to be blunt. But I never gave up wanting to see a book that I wrote in the bookstore one fine Sunday afternoon. You know, going to bookstores has always been a pleasure of mine, right up there with going to fish stores. You know, I just love browsing, and I always end up buying something. So it's the same thing in that respect. You go on a Sunday afternoon, you always enjoy browsing, you have a sip of coffee, and then you buy a couple things. I had that fantasy, and I still have it. It is my North Star. And so a few months ago, I picked up an old text I was writing, a fourth novel that I started in California a couple years back. And I put that down somewhere in the pandemic. You'd think it'd be the other way around, but for whatever reason, I set it aside. You know, and there were a couple personal reasons why I set it aside that I won't go into now, but I did. And then I came back here to Chicago, built my Fish Room 2.0. We set up house here, my wife and I. One of my daughters lives here, and I started accumulating aquariums and just diving into the fish keeping hobby, hook, line, and sinker. So you can tell I'm a writer because I've like triple punned there, you know, diving, hook, line, and yeah, well. And here we are, a couple months ago, I was feeling like something was missing, and it wasn't anything to do with my fish tanks. It wasn't anything to do with my family life, although we never know when it comes to that stuff, if I'm being honest, you know, if you're talking about big picture stuff. But what I did know and do know is that I had set writing aside too permanently, with too much religiosity. Like I wasn't gonna go back to writing again. You know, I had made my best shot at all of that, had some success, some failure, got things done, got those novels published. You know, I had a blog, it's still out there if you want to find it, with all kinds of my writings. I won a few prizes. I wrote a screenplay, a horror movie that won a bunch of prizes but never got produced. So all in all, it was just like too much, and I shut it down. And that was a mistake. You know, I can't not be a writer. I can be a mediocre writer, but I can't not be a writer at all. And so a few months back, 2 months back, whatever it is, I picked up the text, realized it wasn't half bad, but it needed a shit ton of work. And I started back at it from the first word, and there's about 80,000 of them, which, by the way, is the suggested number for any new writer out there. That's the suggested number for a typical novel. If you were querying a literary agent, 80,000 is kind of the bar. So in the fish keeping world, the metaphor would be your water is neutral 7.0, 80,000 words is neutral. You start to go lower, you start to go higher, it can still be awesome, but that's your base, that's your baseline. And I've been editing, and I've been using tools, remarkable tools, AI tools, to help me, to challenge me with every freaking sentence. I'm thinking, is this the best way to articulate that point? And it can answer you just like a partner. And I never had a writing partner. I did in advertising, but not the same thing. And you know, that's why they say go to fish keeping communities, go to writing clubs, you know, to have community, to get feedback. And I always sort of shied away from that. I've made great progress in the fish keeping world, joining clubs and contributing, going to swaps. I never did that with writing. Writing is such a solo thing, right? And it still is, and how could it not be? You know, it's you and your thoughts, and that's that. But this AI stuff has really helped me. I think I'm putting together a frighteningly good book, and I'm about 80% done with it. And so the reason I'm telling you all that, because I know you didn't come to this channel to hear all that. I'm just saying I am sure that complete 180 back into my writing has taken its toll on how I'm able to make content, contribute to the fish keeping community. I've not had time to go on live streams like I like to do. I catch up with a lot of your videos after I write, you know, but by then my brain is mashed potatoes, because I spend 3 to 4 days a week at 10 hours. 10 hours if I don't have freelance work, which is how I help pay the bills here, and there hasn't been any. And, you know, certainly economic interests were a driver, you know, just like you think about our YouTube channels. Can I monetize this? And, you know, good luck with that. But, and same with me, good luck with, you know, getting a book published the real hard way, you know, get an agent, go through that whole process, edit it for 100 years, and then have it go out there and make a few dollars, right? That's a pipe dream, but the dream is everything, you know. If you don't have the North Star, you know, what are you praying to, right? We're just drifting, watching videos, cleaning our fish tanks, and, you know, I think people need a North Star. They need more than one, right? And I needed more than my fish keeping community. My family the children are adults now, right? You know, and my wife and I have been married over 30 years. So I need a North Star that needs attention, that needs me. And writing needs me, and I need writing. So I've been doing it 10 hours a day, 3-4 days a week, sometimes more. And I know it's taken away from my ability to contribute to this wonderful hobby. What it hasn't done, and I will say this is a real caution, if you get back into something you haven't done in a while, go for it, dive in head first, don't just dip your toe in the water. But when you've got a fish room or just a fish tank, don't ignore that because you found something else. This isn't about that. You need to have your cake and eat it too. for the sake of my own sanity and the health of my all the living things in my purview, I take as good care of my fish as I ever have. The water changes, the gardening, minding, all of that has not taken a backseat to my writing. And it better not, because I think then, the dream has a mortgage attached to it, and that is not a good thing. So rest assured, I'm not screwing up my fish world, but I am compromising my ability to, create content 2 or 3 times a week, and maybe to make the kind of content you all would love to see, right? I never can tell what the algorithm is suggesting, and nobody can. It's one video blows up, another goes nowhere. It's almost impossible to tell unless you're using clickbait, which I try desperately not to do. But I don't want to get sidetracked. I just wanted to say, in some respects, here's where I'm at, and this is what I've been doing. If there's been any compromise to my content, now you have a reason. Now you also get to hear and see me, in real time, which I think a few times a year is always good, especially when I don't film myself almost ever. It's good to put a face to these channels, right? And I love doing that, but I'm very, very careful about it because I don't want to waste your time and look like a fool. And I know you come here for the plants, for the fish, for the fish room, not for me. But once in a while, and this felt like one of those once in a whiles. So I thank you again for coming to Lush and Salty Aquariums. I'm absolutely not going anywhere, and my fish tanks are in top shape. And if they're not, I've got my hands in the tank correcting things. So folks, until we meet again, until you're looking at one of my aquariums in your very next video, I want to thank you and wish you all the best. Find your North Star, find more than one, and get after it, right? As always, keep your hands in the tank, albeit carefully, and ciao for now.